Consultative conference kicked off to a dramatic start with some delegates heckling speakers that were chanting former Youth League treasurer Pule Mabe's name. Mabe is Gauteng's favourite to lead the league. Now, yesterday, the National Task Team announced that leaders would not yet be elected. Some delegates are adamant that they want to elect new leaders after this, the second postponement of the elective conference. A group of people arrived late and continued to be disruptive whilst messages of support were being read out. Mabe tried to calm the group down, but to no avail. National Task Team convener Mzwandile Masina was also sent to intervene, but he too was unsuccessful. The SACP's Budimana Mela was also booed when he asked delegates to respect the decision to change the status of the conference.
Well, we now cross live to SABC's contributing editor Vuyo Mvoko for more from the League's conference. Vuyo, good evening to you. President Zuma has just arrived. What's been the reaction?
Well, he arrived a short while ago to a rousing welcome. Natasha, the mood was completely different from the scenes we saw earlier. He seemed to, albeit few minutes, in other words, the time he was arriving, he seemed to be able to sort of to have succeeded in uniting the various factions or groupings. Are obviously unhappy about a whole lot of things, but for the moment he walked into the hall and right through the stage, everyone was singing about him and everyone was welcoming him very, very warmly.
All right, now Vuyo, just fill us in. General chaos before President Zuma arrived. As you say, he managed to unite the factions and calm everything down, but clearly there seems to be a sign of discontent or division among the delegates. What's the cause?
Well, there is a great deal of unhappiness, and the main cause is, of course, the change of status of the status of this conference. In other words, it's no more going to be an elective conference. It will now policies and adopt positions, but there will not be an election of a new leadership. Now, that has caused a great deal of discontent. In fact, the whole day, the conference was supposed to start early on, but for hours there was nothing happening. I mean, the mood was somber. It was at some point almost like someone had died. So it has indeed killed the spirit of the conference. But with the arrival of President Zuma, there seems to be, they seem to have been a bit energized. But as to whether that will continue beyond his speech, in other words, when he will have delivered his speech and gone, remains to be seen.
All right, so Vuyo, then how legitimate is the conference? Because, as you say, from an elective conference to a conference centred on policy, but grassroots structures never given an opportunity to give any input.
Well, there's a view among many of the delegates or groupings here that perhaps the conference itself should resolve that question. There's a sentiment coming from certain quarters who believe that the ANC Youth League will be within its rights. In other words, the delegates here constitute what is the highest decision-making body of the ANC Youth League, and these delegates should actually interrogate the decision taken by the ANC of changing the status of this conference. Some are of the view that here leaders should discuss, the delegates who are here should discuss whether in fact they shouldn't go ahead and elect their leaders. But of course, there are those who are cautioning that you're spoiling for the fight with the ANC if you do that. Now, several questions were raised around, for example, who will bell the cat, so to speak, who's going to raise those issues, and if the overwhelming view is that this conference should go ahead and elect its leaders, what are the consequences of such a decision? But whether in fact that grouping is going to win or that group will be able to even raise that issue, we will see once President Jacob Zuma has done his opening remarks and the conference itself starts in earnest.
All right, Vuyo, we have to leave it there. That was Vuyo Mvoko live from the ANC Youth League's elective conference in Soweto.